Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in to today's webinar on National ICV Certification. This topic is being discussed by one and all across business sectors in the UAE, and this has been rolled out on a federal level by the Ministry of Industry and Advanced Technology, UAE. Just a very brief overview of the agenda today. To start with, I will give a brief introduction about MBG Corporate Services, and then we will have our expert, Mr. Tahir Singaporewala, take you through this very informative and insightful presentation on the importance of National ICV Certification. For those who don't know us yet, MBG Corporate Services was established in 2002, headquartered in Singapore, having 18 offices across 8 locations, covering Middle East, Europe, and Asia. Here in the UAE, we have more than 300 employees working in our offices in Dubai, Abu Dhabi, and Sharjah. Globally, we serve 3,000 clients, of which 100 of them are Fortune 500 companies. Globally, we have 600 full-time employees working with us at different locations. We support organizations at every stage of their life cycle, from inception through growth journey all the way through to maturity and extension. Needless to say that during these times, companies are looking for guidance and support on how to deal with development, no matter what stage of their life cycle they are at. We have an extremely wide range of services which enables us to support organizations wherever they are in their journey. We have the traditional audit and assurance business. We support companies in getting certified national ICV with national ICV. We do a lot of work on risk advisory and have experts heading indirect and direct taxation. On the mergers and acquisition side, we support companies on both sell and buy side. We have a large legal team supporting many of our clients on contracts management, liquidation, counsel assistance, government licensing, ESR, and various other services. On strategy and transformation, we help companies do feasibility studies, and on technology advisory, we help companies manage all the cyber risks that there are prevalent currently in the world, such as phishing attacks, cybersecurity, and other GDPR compliances. As a firm, we are industry agnostic and support companies no matter which industry they are in, and have the manpower and team to support wherever applicable. Now, I would like to introduce our speaker for today, Mr. Tahir Singaporewala. Mr. Singaporewala has over 9 years of varied professional experience across finance and accounts under internal control, review, and analysis of financial and statutory audits. He has rich experience in audit and other engagements in industries such as healthcare, construction, real estate, manufacturing, insurance, investment, oil and gas, and others. He has regularly been training professionally and has conducted various webinars and seminars. He is the associate partner for ICV and audit at MBG and is very well respected by our clients. So over to you, Tahir, to take us through this very interesting and informative subject.
Thank you, Rahul. A very good morning, one and all. Myself, I am Tahir Singaporewala, Associate Partner with MBG Corporate Services, and I'll be happy to take all of you through this session on the National ICV program, the ICV Improvement Plan, and definitely the importance about this program, and it is here to stay. So, can we go to the previous slide? Yes, thank you, Rahul. So, talking about the National ICV program, to give a quick background about the program, the ICV program had started back in 2017 by EDNOC. So it was a privately run program for almost a couple of years by EDNOC, and the program had seen a lot of success during its implementation and its initial outset. And since then, the program has been incorporated and adopted by a lot of semi-government as well as government entities, including Aldar, Abu Dhabi ports. So these were among the first entities to adopt this program in 2019. And what we have seen is in 2020 and 2021, we have only seen more and more bodies become a part of this program. Very recently, including companies such as Etisalat, Abu Dhabi Rail, etc., have also joined the program. And due to the success that the program has constantly seen over the period, it also got announced as a part of the national ICV program and has been adopted at a federal level, and a special ministry has been put in place as well. So as it is called the Ministry of Industry and Advanced Technology. So the program is now supervised by them, and it, it is currently being run as a national program across the entire United Arab Emirates. So as we have seen, it is no longer restricted to only oil and gas sector. In fact, it is now spread across various industries and various economies in as well. As we have also seen that since right the beginning, the basic concepts or the principles that run behind the program have been always the same. So as we see on the screen, the basic objectives of this program have always been Emiratization, to ensure and promote more and more Emirati employment across the private companies in UAE, GDP diversification, basically to promote more and more localization within the country. So encourage companies to spend locally, procure locally, rather than making import purchases. So as long as these materials are available within the UAE, companies are encouraged to make their procurement process at a local level and ensure that there is a GDP growth within the UAE as well. So these principles have constantly been the backbone of this program. Yes, Rahul, can we go to the next slide? So obviously, considering this backbone principles that have been there behind the program, the ICV has overall seen a lot of progress since 2017 or 2018, since its implementation. There have been almost more than 28 billion dirhams which has been retained within the economy. So these are as per the latest figures that were disclosed by the ministry in their recent publication. So there is a 28 billion dirhams worth of money that have been able to retain within the country because of companies starting to make their procurement purchases more at a local level. At the same time, more than 3,000 plus Emiratis have been absorbed or have been employed by the private sector since the inception of the ICB program. And further, over the next 4 to 5 years, the ministry expects another 40 billion worth of dirhams to be retained within the UAE economy. So, it expects much better performances in the coming period because of also the widening of the program that has taken place. Yes, Rahul, can we go on to the next page? Yes. So, so as we were earlier mentioning about how quickly this program has expanded, right? So earlier it used to be an ad hoc ICV program. Even the logo of the ICV had an ad hoc logo present in that. Now, as I already mentioned, Aldar, Abu Dhabi government, Abu Dhabi ports were some of the initial entities to join the program, but it has already expanded at a much higher level. And as we see on the screen, companies such as Etisalat, Shuroob, Etihad Rail, Mubadla have all joined the program recently, and they are all a part of the national ICV program. So it's no longer only restricted to ADNOC and no longer only restricted to Abu Dhabi. So it's more of a national program where companies that are not only participating in any tenders directly with them, but they might also be at a subcontractor or a level 2 or a level 3 supplier, will have a requirement of providing their ICV certifications for all their future projects, tenders, etc. So it will become like a mandatory documentation to be maintained by companies, and it will be required for all their future projects and tenders. And not only that, we will also see during this presentation how companies will get an edge or will have an advantage by having an ICV certificate and by having a better ICV score as compared to their competition. So it will become a tool to help companies generate more and more business in the future as well. Yes, Rahul, can we go on to the next slide? Yeah. So just to give you a quick highlight on the key policy announcements that recently the government of UAE has also been making, and also recently announced by His Highness Sheikh Mohammed, uh, the UAE Centennial Plan for 2071. So it's the next 50 years plan that was announced recently. There were 50 measures that were announced, as it was called, the projects of the 50 as well. So there were various announcements mentioned under those projects. One of them was the National ICV program. So they have clearly mentioned National ICV program is here to stay, and it will become a very important part of the plan for the coming 50 years as well. So they want to make sure that they are able to redirect more and more funds within the UAE economy. At the same time, it will be getting adopted by all central and state government, federal authorities, semi-private government institutions, etc. as well. So we expect, uh, say, the participating entities that we saw previously, about 50, 60 of them, these to go up significantly. That can easily double up in the next few coming months as well. So yeah, now we start off with the National ICB program. So just a quick background about the factors that the company should be aware of that will be impacting the ICB score of the company, how the entire formula works, and then what's in it for the companies. Why should they be getting their ICB certification done as well? This is just a basic overview or a glance about the ICB program. So as we mentioned in country, sorry, Rahul, can we go back to the previous idea? Thanks. As we mentioned about as the name itself suggests, in country value, right? So this basically refers to the value that a company is generating within the country or for the country. So there are 5 or 6 components that we see on the screen that contributes to the ICB score of a company. So just to give a quick uh, basic requirements, every company needs to understand that they firstly need to have audited financial statements available, which are the audited financial statements as per IFRS and audited by a approved auditor within UAE. So once these financial statements are available, the ICB certification is done based on those financials. So generally, it is more focused on the profit and loss statement. So detailed analysis is done of all the expenses done by the company during the financial year, which is taken out from the financial statements. That forms your major part of the goods manufacturing costs and the third party spend. These expenses will be analyzed to bifurcate them into what portion of expenses comes from within UAE, what comes from outside UAE. Further, within UAE, these expenses will be bifurcated into whether these expenses are done with suppliers having ICB certificate or they do not have an ICB certificate. So these factors will contribute or affect the ICB score of the company. Obviously, we also take into account other important factors such as investments. So investment is a very important factor which contributes about 25% of the total score. So here we refer at all the investments that are appearing under the balance sheet of the company. This could include property, plant and equipment such as land, building, furniture and fixtures, motor vehicles, as well as other investment properties which are all owned and managed by the company, and these investments should be present within the UAE. So based on the value, there is a score that is available for investments. And then we have Emirati and expat contributions. So we look at the payroll of the company to analyze the strength in terms of the contribution that they make towards Emirati employees and towards expatriate employees. So both has their own percentage allocations, and based on that, we have a total ICB score calculated for the company. There are some other bonus factors also available which helps companies to improve their ICB score, such as in case the company is earning any revenue from outside UAE. So through export revenue, since the company is able to bring foreign exchange within the country, it will help them to boost their ICV score by getting some extra bonus points as well. And similarly, it will also be applicable in case the company is having Emirati employees. Apart from the basic score for Emirati employees, there is a bonus eligible for it as well. So overall, these are the basic principles that will define the ICV score of a company. And in terms of a score, it's basically a percentage out of 100. So companies will be rated in terms of percentage where they stand in terms of their in-country value performance. Yes, Rahul, can we go to the next slide? So now, obviously, there would be questions that why should we be joining the program, right? What are the benefits that we have in case we get ourselves ICV certified? So yes, so over here, basically now we'll be looking at some of the benefits that companies, manufacturers, business houses, irrespective of their size of operations, will get an advantage. So over here, when we talk about various benefits, firstly, straightforward benefit is obviously it helps promote local companies. So, as a part of a business or as a part of a business operation within UAE, it will help companies to promote each other and promote local business entities within the UAE. And it will also help companies to become a part of the fourth industrial revolution and claim various industry related benefits um, that the government have been announcing recently, including the Nafis program, etc. So to claim various benefits in case the company is ICB certified. Um, Also, one of the most important benefit is to win federal and government contracts and tenders. So not only government, but also semi-government and various large private institutions such as Aldar, etc., IMAR, etc., have already started adopting a policy that they will only provide any kind of jobs or contracts or tenders to any companies that are ICV certified. So ICV certification has become already a mandatory process as a part of their procurement process or tendering process, and only with the help of ICV certificate, companies will be able to do future business with them. Moving on to the next slide. Yes. So obviously, it will help companies to get advantage in terms of getting more and more business within the UAE because, as I mentioned, it will become a very close competitive industry with ICV score. And what will start happening is not only pricing will not only remain the only criteria, but companies will be rated based on their ICV score, and it will become one of the important parameters to get more and more business opportunities in the future. So it will become an important tool for companies. It will become more of a business marketing tool for companies using their ICV score. At the same time, since payroll and other criteria are related with the ICV score, so we expect companies to be able to attract more better talented individuals once they are ICV certified, because then obviously it will become like a wheel where it is connected, because these talent helps companies to improve the ICV score and vice versa. So the ICV scores will also help you to attract better talent as well. Moving on to the next slide. Yes. Just a quick understanding on the new established entities. So basically, there are a lot of companies that say that we are just recently started. We have been in operations for less than 6 months or 5 months, etc. And we do not have our audited financial statements available. So this is an exception that is being made by the ICV committee. So in terms of newly established entities where their operations have been for less than 10 months, so the date has been set at 10 months, we do not require audited financial statements to proceed with ICV certification. At any point of time, the company can just provide with management accounts, which is basically the balance sheet and the profit and loss statement prepared by the management, signed off by the management of the company, and then they can proceed with ICV certification based on that. So they have an exception to not provide their audited financial statements, and they can get their ICV certification done even within the first year of their operations. Moving on to the next slide. Yes, before we dive into the details about how the ICV program is implemented, how it works, etc., and what are the advantages a company will gain in terms of having an ICV score, just a quick overview about the expertise that MBG Corporate Services brings on table in terms of ICV certification, ICV improvement plan. So we have been one of the oldest players in the market providing ICV certificates to our clients, and we have an experience of issuing more than about 2000 plus ICV certificates, which is among the highest in UAE. So that provides us a wholesome experience across various industries such as telecommunications, consumer services, consumer goods, including technology, financial, etc. Not to mention oil and gas sector. So we have rich expertise across these various industries, clients coming from various industries, as well as various regions and emirates within the UAE. So that helps us to understand what are the generic problems that these companies generally face in order to make sure, in order to improve their ICB score, and how we have been successfully been able to implement a quick and a significant improvement in the ICB score for these companies. So with that, we have we bring on table that kind of an expertise to help our clients across various industries. Also, Rahul mentioned previously, we are industry agnostic company, so we help various companies across various sectors, even in terms of ICV certifications and ICV improvement plan. Moving on to the next slide. We have a very robust team of almost over 30 plus members who have been engaged solely for the ICV certification assignment. So it's definitely the largest ICV team among all other certifying bodies in the UAE, and that helps us um, firstly to provide the right kind of person to our clients. So we make sure that the ICV executive who is allocated has particular expertise and experience in the industry that the client is belonging to. So we help clients provide with the right expertise. We help provide the client with also, we have enough strength to make sure that our assignments are completed on timely basis, because it's a very time critical assignment, and clients get the right advisory on timely basis as well. So that's in regards to our team strength. Moving on to the next slide. So yes, so basically on a quick process on how to get ICV certification. That so as we mentioned previously, um, a company will be required to have IFRS based audited financial statements, which is a mandatory requirement. The only exception is a new company that has not yet completed its 10 months of operations. So once these IFRS financial statements are available, there is an ICV template that needs to be filled up by the companies, which is where MBG also plays a supportive role, and we can assist our clients, especially companies who are doing their ICV for the first time, to get this filled and then accordingly review the same as well. Once we have this initial information, we ask for additional information for our verification. Once the complete verification and the other processes are completed, which would generally say take about 2 weeks of working time, and we are then able to issue the ICV certificate. So not to mention, this ICV certificate is now a standard ICV certificate, which is common for all participating entities. So there is no separate format. The same ICV certificate can be used by company, whether they are bidding for a tender with EDNOC, Aldar, Itasalat, anyone. The same ICV certificate is applicable for all companies. And this ICV certificate has a validity period of 14 months from the date of the audit report. So it will become an annual process where once the audit is done every year, the ICV certificate will have to be renewed as well. So that was a quick overview on the ICV. In case there are any questions, etc., from the audience, we'll be happy if you can put them in the chats or in the Q&A section, and we'll be happy to then look into those. So once um, once we have already discussed this ICV program and the ICV score part. Now, what is also important is the ICV improvement plan. So this is something that is very important, especially for all direct vendors of any of the participating entities. So just we have taken EDNOC for example over here. So in case the company is required, or in case a company is bidding for a project or a tender with EDNOC, EDNOC requires those companies to submit two things. One is the ICV certificate. So basically that will denote what is the current ICV score of the company. And what is also important is they will also be asking companies to submit their ICV improvement plan score. So ICV improvement plan score is basically a ICV score that the company targets to achieve in the say coming 3 to 5 years. So say if their current score is 40, maybe they target to reach 50 or 60 in the coming years. So what is a target ICV score that they plan to expect or plan to achieve in the coming years? So we help companies to prepare this ICV improvement plan, uh, submit this ICV improvement plan to various authorities, also make sure that we are able to work with our clients consistently by giving them a detailed plan on how to achieve this ICV scores, the ICV targets that they have committed. We do a quarterly monitoring of it, and then we help or we ensure that companies are able to achieve this ICV score in the coming years based on their commitments that they have made to it now. Because it is very important to be as aggressive in providing our commitments, because we will see what are the benefits associated with this. But at the same time, it becomes very important to achieve these ICV improvement plan targets as well. Thank you, Rahul. Yeah. So just giving a simple example over here. We have considered a scenario over here to show how the bidding process works with EDNOC or any other participating entity for that matter. And this will be a standard norm across most companies, most government, semi-government departments in the coming period. And when I say coming period, it is a very short-term view that we are looking at. So this practice is going to get adopted very soon in the coming few months itself. So in this tender, this example will make it very clear. So here we are looking at a tender that has been floated by EDNOC, and there are 5 companies that have participated in the tender. So we have A, B, C, D, and E, and we see the prices that have been quoted by all the 5 companies. Now, if we see only in terms of pricing, A has quoted the lowest price, and A would generally be ranked as the L1 company. So assuming the technical qualification has already been completed and all the companies have been technically qualified, in a scenario where there was no ICV score, since A has quoted the lowest among all the 5 companies, here we have classified A as L1, and they would be the first ranked company, and A would generally get the project. Now with ICV coming into picture, we have listed down the ICV scores of all the 5 companies, where if you see, D has the highest ICV score of 45%. And then we have also listed down the ICV improvement plan scores of all the 5 companies. So this is basically a commitment or a target that they commit, that what they will be achieving at the end of this project, for example. So now what EDNOC calculates is a combined ICV score, which is a weighted average of the current ICV score and the improvement plan score. So it is, what is very interesting over here is we are talking about a weighted average and not a simple average. So generally, the participating entity will give a higher weightage to the improvement plan score. So in this example, we have taken it at 60%, but based on our discussion with them, it could be as high as 80% as well. So now in this example, what we have seen is, if I take E over here, they had a current ICV score of 40, They have given an improvement plan of 55. Now we have taken both the percentages in the ratio of 40 and 60, and we see that their combined weighted average ICB score has come up to 49%. So for this particular tender, although they are currently at only 40%, ADNOC will consider their ICB score as 49 because it's an average of their current ICB score and their future expected ICB score. And similarly, we have calculated for all the other companies as well. Now, in this example, like I mentioned earlier, D had the current highest ICB score of 45. But we see in this example that the ICV improvement plan given by them is on a very conservative side, and they do not show a very significant improvement over there, which has taken their average ICV score to only 45.6. And E, on account of giving a very aggressive ICV score, they have been able to become the highest combined ICV on this table. So with this, E becomes the H1, which is the first ranked company now, and they will have what the participating entity call is they will have the first right of refusal. So in this, ADNOC will now be approaching E for the project first. Obviously, since they have quoted on the higher side, there might be negotiations taking place between E and ADNOC to maybe a price that is within ADNOC's budget or that was the target price. So if E is able to negotiate and both the parties agree on the price, E is the company that is likely to win the project. Only if E is not able to negotiate and not agree on the target price with ADNOC, then they will move to D, which is the second highest combined ICV score. So ADNOC will start moving in the order of the combined ICV scores. So what we see over here is E, although they have passed the technical round, they had quoted the lowest prices, ADNOC will only approach them fourth because in terms of their ICV score. So although they were one of the front runners till the pricing stage, only because of the ICV, they are the least likely to win the project. So that's the kind of importance that the ICV score will have in all future tenders, and companies will be really wanting to go for a better ICV score, not only an ICV score, a better ICV score and an even better ICV improvement plan. And that's where MBG Corporate Services have been helping clients to achieve that as well. Now, as we were mentioning previously, sorry, Rahul, can we go back to the previous slide? Yeah, thanks. So as we were mentioning previously, why is it important for companies to not be very conservative in terms of giving an improvement plan? Because they might end up like D, where they might not win the project, even having a good ICV score. But at the same time, they don't want to be too aggressive because in case they are not able to achieve their target, we will see what happens in the coming slide. So we want to have a very mixed and a balanced approach where we make sure that we are aggressive enough to win the project, at the same time conservative enough to make sure that we are going to achieve the ICB target as well. Moving on to the next slide. Yes. So obviously there are formulas in place on a retention mechanism that has been set by various institutions. So in case companies are not able to achieve their ICV improvement plan target, generally there is a 5% retention. So what ADNOC will do is on every invoice that the company will issue during the year, there will be a 5% retention. So they will only be making 95% during the year, 95% of payments. And at the end of the year, once the company has achieved the target ICP score, the 5% retention will be released. In case the target is not achieved completely and it is achieved in parts, then various formulas will be applicable, and generally on a pro rata basis, the retention amounts will be released as well. So that is why it is a very, it's like a double-edged sword where companies want to be as aggressive as possible, but at the same time, various other consequences needs to be factored in as well. So that is in regards to how the ICV improvement plan works and how it has been adopted by various institutions. Yes. Moving on to the next slide. So this is just a quick glance at how MBG has been successful in working with various companies to help them improve their ICV score. At the same time, help and monitor an ICV improvement plan that is winning for them. So here, when we talk about various expenses analysis of the company, that becomes the most important segment in the ICV score of a company. So we have been working very closely with our clients for various training and awareness sessions, not only with our clients, even with various suppliers of our clients, because once we are able to get the suppliers ICV certified and improve their ICV scores, the ICV of our client will definitely improve along with that. So we are working with a lot of, we are working in terms of a lot of training and awareness sessions. We provide with a lot of department level guidance, because ICV is not only related to finance or a particular department. I would say it's quite a complex project, and various departments within a company such as procurement, HR, legal, uh, investments, etc., should be quite involved in the project, because all of these components have a direct impact on the ICB score. So when we are working with our clients, we make sure that we get involved with various departments to help them understand how this program works, not only to improve their current ICB score, but also make sure that they are consistently showing a growth in terms of their ICB score. Moving on to the next slide. So obviously, like I mentioned, we work with various departments. So we also review various supplier agreements. We get the know your supplier done for companies and these processes, so that the basic uh, processes that a company require to make sure that they are consistently improving their ICB scores are in place, and then the company is on a constantly growth cycle. At the same time, we provide constant dashboard reports where it's not just an annual process, but we get involved with our clients on a monthly or a quarterly basis, depending on their requirements, to show how they have been able to improve on a quarter to quarter basis. And in turn, the results will definitely show up themselves. So, yes, so that's how we have been involved in terms of ICV certification with our clients. Now, quickly, I'll take you through a couple of interesting success stories. We call them success stories, how we have been able to be successful and how we have been able to help our clients achieve significant growth in terms of their ICB score. So as we mentioned earlier, MBG Corporate Services, with the experience and the expertise that we bring on the table, our objective is not just to get our clients ICP certified, because like a lot of other ICP certifying bodies in the market, it can be easier for us to provide an ICP certificate and ICP score based on the information that is available. But we take it very seriously to ensure that we are providing the right advisory to our clients to help them, achieve the kind of targets that they are looking at. So we play the role of an ICV advisor along with an ICV certifier. So our job will not only be to certify your company, but also provide you with the right advisory and the right goal to take, and then the way forward to make sure that the goal is achieved as well. So going through these success stories, obviously ICV is a very agreed upon procedures kind of a certification, where the rules and the regulations of the certificates have been defined by the ministry themselves. So now in this particular example, this is one of the companies where which was bidding directly, which is into the oil and gas sector, and they were bidding with EDNOC for a particular project. And as we see these kind of practical issues with a lot of other companies in the UAE as well. So this was basically a branch within UAE, and most of the documentation was under the name of the parent. So all the bids, the invoices that they used to get from their suppliers had the name mentioned of their parent and not specifically of the branch. And generally companies tend to ignore these kind of errors on the documentation work. At the same time, there were other issues such as they paid a very hefty amount of salary to an Emirati CEO, but the same was again routed through the parent company. So the parent company paid on behalf of the branch, and then it was cross charged to the branch. So now, due to these issues, firstly, we were unable to provide them with the ICV score on a lot of these purchases because the documentation was incorrect. We were unable to provide them the credit for the cost being paid to the Emirati CEO because of the channel of payment was not proper. And this was the similar issue that they were been facing previously in their previous ICV certificates as well. So in the previous ICV certificate done by another certifying body, they were not able to consider that and the scores were not given for that. So when the client approached us, uh, we took a step back. We thought that the company is in good faith paying for all these expenses, but they are unable to get the credit out of it. So we presented this case to the ICV committee because we have been working very closely with the ICV committee. So we presented this case to them and the ministry that this company has not been able to get the credit for the various expenses which are actually being borne by them, but due to improper documentation. Once the committee went into various evidence and various other details, they gave them an exceptional approval saying that these costs can be considered as a part of their ICV computation for this particular year and the next year. And they gave them a 2 years period to make sure that after that the documentation is properly. So company got enough time. At the same time, we were able to claim all the credit immediately, and the ICV score had jumped by almost more than 35% as compared to the last year. So the previous score, which was about 32%, after these changes, when we closed out their certificate, their ICV score was in mid 40s. So that was a significant jump for the client and a huge advantage in terms of their competition as well. So that was one of the great success stories that we had. Uh, I'll take you through another one as well. So moving on to the next slide. So now again, this was a very interesting case where we were doing the ICV certificate of a company which is based out of Jabal Ali, and one of, in fact, interestingly, one of their largest customer was ADNOC themselves. So for the past many years, they have been into this business where they used to import a natural raw material. Basically, it was a natural gas that was imported from Ireland. So since this natural gas is not available in the UAE and it is a natural resource, so it has to be imported from outside UAE as it is not available or not manufactured in the UAE. So based on that, uh, I would say this particular raw material had a significant value of its total purchases. It was accounting for more than about 35 to 40% of its total purchases. So that meant that since it was coming from outside of UAE, it was considered as an import purchase. There was no ICV score available on that, and had it had a negative impact on the ICV score of the company. Now, obviously, this company had been ICV certified from the last couple of years, and there was no credit being made available to the company. So when we took over the ICV certification for 2020, uh, and we looked into the case, then we had approached the ICV committee for this, and then we were very happy to see that the ICV committee was quite flexible on this, but they told us that they want a specific confirmation that this particular raw material is not available in the UAE. So what we did was we went to the Ministry of External Affairs as well as the customs regulations to get a clarification and a confirmation from that this material is being imported and local there is no alternative local option which is available within the UAE. So based on this confirmation, we again presented our scenario to the ICV committee, And then based on that, we got a confirmation that, okay, so since this material is not available in the UI, companies can claim 100% ICB score on this particular purchases. So although our role was only the ICB certification part of the company, uh, we took a couple of extra steps approaching the ICB committee, the Ministry of Energy, to get the specific approval. And because of this, the previous ICB score of the company, which was about 32%, after this particular changes, because the complete purchase moved from a 0% category to a 100% category, and the ICB score of the company jumped up to 63%. So that was almost double as compared to the previous ICB score. And till date, they have a significant advantage as compared to their competition, because the competition are still a step back, and like other companies, they have never been able to claim an ICB score on these particular raw material. So those are the kind of additional steps that I believe we at MBG Corporate Services believe in taking for our clients, to make sure that you don't only get ICB certified, you get ICB certified in the right way, and make sure that you are staying ahead of your competition, and it helps you to win as well. So as we all believe at MBG, in our client's success lies our success. So yeah, so that's a quick uh, couple of success stories that we have, and just a couple of success stories out of a lot that we have had at MBG Corporate Services. And with that, yes, I'll end my presentation on ICV certification and ICV improvement plan services. Thank you everyone for listening us out.